I'm obedient. I will sit where I'm told. It's all fiction.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Garvavahai Tejasvinavadidamastu ma Vadvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dr. Shankar Rai Chaudhary, Ambassador Satish Chandra, Mr. D.C. Nath, Shri Vikram Banerjee, Professor Satyendra Banerjee on the rise, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, particularly Jan Jacob and so many other distinguished people, Mr. Khandelwalia. We are most grateful to you to be present here where we are going to discuss the political assertion of radical forces in Bangladesh, impact and implications for India. Just before we came here, I was having a short discussion with General Shankar Rai Chaudhary and Jan Jacob and others. And it was about what's happening in the Chinese border. And then they had a very distinguished colleague of ours, Mr. Ravi, who gave us an impression that well, what's happening is very sinister, is something very serious. And probably we are not able to appreciate it fully because there is a definite pattern and a part of a much larger game that we are able to appreciate it and dismiss it as purely a small tactical event which probably will fade away. I was reminded of a very important incident in Indian history. It was sometime in early 12th century, about 1105 or 1110. And there was a Dhara Nagari where there was a Raja Bhoj. He was a great warrior also, but he was more known for his scholarly pursuits. And he used to invite a lot of thinkers, scholars, people of intelligence to come discuss and deliberate upon the issues that were the kingdom. Now one day there was one philosopher Brahmin who was Jayadeva, and he told him, and since it was very relevant, so I thought, that which is the danger to the king and his kingdom which can never be warded off. And he said that danger whose existence is denied by the king can never be warded off, and you can never prepare yourself for that. Then he said, which is such danger to Dhara kingdom? He says, the attack by Sultan Mahmud Ghazni on Somnath temple. That was the time when a military expedition was sent by Raja Bhoj to Gujarat, and he was chased beyond the distance of the deserts, and he had to flee across. He came back and he said, it is still not over. And not many people in this room would be knowing that Raja Bhoj took a military expedition liberating Hansi in what is near Hisar, Nagarkot, and went up to Lahore and chased him away from there. That is the time when some of the Hindu kings who were with him had a sort of an arrangement made with him. Now, probably this subject also that we are going to discuss has got a very important element of commonality. If there is a danger and you brush it under the carpet, you deny its existence, you refuse to accept that such a threat exists. What's happening in the eastern part of India on various counts is extremely sinister and very concerned. On the security side, for the larger security interests, in our demographic changes which are taking place, the socio-political changes which are taking place. It is slow, but it is definite and a part of a pattern and going in a direction which will seriously undermine India's sovereignty, India's integrity, and India's long-term interests. In Bangladesh, we have been witnessing for the last few months, starting 6 years. January got caught up some momentum by the late February when the judgment came against some war criminals who are criminals of having perpetrated offences against humanity. And Dilawar Hussain Saidi was awarded the death sentence. What was happening there is not something, a clash between two ideologies or two thinking. One liberal, democratic, modern-looking, forward-looking, another conservative, radical. It is essentially deciding, it's a conflict for deciding the character of the state of Bangladesh. What sort of an eastern neighbor we are going to have here? Now, it's very heartening to see that when there has been the ruling government did take some steps, did take some positive steps against making those criminals accountable, bringing them to the court of law, trying them. And it was felt that they will take it to the logical conclusion. We still hope at this stage. Because probably by conviction they do feel that Bangladesh, if it has to prosper and not become another Pakistan, probably it has to move in the direction of getting rid of the baggage of medieval history. But then probably it is still a big question because the way the government has started building and thinking that probably it may not be able to take the onslaught of the radicals and the Islams and the radical forces supported by Jamaat-e-Islami, supported by Hifazat-e-Islami and other Baqi Youth and other groups. They are catching momentum. They have been able to force the government into some amount of submission. If not submission, at least making it politically inexpedient for them to give a resistance and carry forward with that. So now, the slide back which is being seen in the last few weeks is indicated that probably for electoral gains that is not something that is desirable for India. But we still hope that something positive will come out of it and we will be able to consolidate. But look at the scenario. In case a government comes in power which is supported by Jamaat-e-Islami, what happens in case in that government, Jamaat-e-Islami again like an industries minister who is responsible for getting all the weapons in his personal jetty and then 1,200 AK-47s were being brought to India. Unfortunately, one of the trucks got, there was a collision and a police inspector registered a case and it became too public. And once it became public, that all these weapons were being sent to India from the minister in the cabinet with the BNP, which are meant for the Indian insurgents, left-wing extremists and the northeastern insurgents. A scenario much more and manifold, multiplied by that, probably will be the records. So that is not the demographic invasion that we are getting from Iran will continue. Despite the new government's comfort it has given us in respect of certain northeastern issues, they have done very little. And not only that, it has been able to persuade the government of India to issue the instruction, issue the formal instruction that no force will be used against those persons who infiltrated into the country, even if they are the criminals or carrying this thing. Now this has allowed the radical elements, the terrorists, the supporters also to come to the power of the people, besides giving a certain amount of license to the human trafficking and other type of activities which have been going there. We do understand the compulsion of the government there that if there is any person killed on the border, there is big headlines there in the Bangladesh newspaper. It makes it very difficult and untenable for the government to explain. And the relationship that the Sheikh Hasina's government is trying to build up with India becomes difficult if the environment gets vitiated, which consolidates the radical forces and anti-Indian forces. There are a lot of substance in that. But at the same time, we have got to see that is what is the best way for us to ensure that this border is protected, and this border is valid, this border is able to went effectively, responding to the movement of the insurgents, the coming of the terrorists, which is happening. Now, all these developments which are taking place in Bangladesh are also having its own effects in different parts of the country. Northeast is changing its demographic character. We find that even in the areas where we had hardly any population coming from across, places like Nagaland, places like Mizoram, we have a substantial portion of the Bangladesh settlers who have married the local girls, in their name have been able to acquire some land, start their business. In the areas adjoining the 8 districts of West Bengal adjoining Bangladesh, there is a concentration of districts to a very substantial degree, in certain areas going up to 65%, and coming up to say 48 to 49, 40, 50%. So they have created an electoral compulsion and a political constituency for them, where they are able to dictate the terms to the main parties in West Bengal, the left and the Trinamool Congress both. And that is why, when there is a reaction, in Bangladesh there is a peculiar situation that there are two groups. One the radicals and another the modernists, who are clashing with each other. That is the war criminals, the radical elements, the people who have supported the Pakistan army, they should be countered and checked. But in West Bengal, in Calcutta, when on 30th of March, they held a demonstration and an agitation in which 16 organizations joined together. It was only one-sided show. There was not even one voice from anybody, from any political party, from any social institution or any platform. That what these 16 body group is trying to support. What are they supporting? That the war trials are wrong. What Pakistan army did was right. By implication, what the Indian army did there was wrong. By implication, even the American consulate, I think we must give this thing to a lot of credit to the chief there in the political department, Mr. Bond, or what is his name? Mr. Black. Mr. Arthur Black. In which he said that it is totally inhuman of what's happening, that my government is supporting it. Probably, the entire West Bengal, no political leader, no political party was able to take a position that what was being done in Calcutta in such an overwhelming demonstration of strength, supporting the radicals, supporting the Jamaat-e-Islami, was supported by the Jamaat-e-Islami India also, which said that it's the president party. That this is something which is seriously detrimental to the Indian interest. The Marxists obviously have supported them, and so have the Trinamool. Whatever little few resistance was there, but the people was very, very small minority. But still more surprising is that in the rest of the country there is just no voice about it. There is nobody reacting to it, reading it, writing about it, or having any discussions about it, and that is why we thought that in the Vivekananda Foundation we must have a discussion on this subject. We are really very fortunate today to have a former Army Chief, General Shankar Rao Chaudhary, who has not only been an outstanding general, who has not only been a great military leader of the country, but is, I think, one of the finest intellectuals that we have got today. We have got an added advantage that he has just been to Bangladesh very recently, and he stays there, lives in Calcutta, and taken all the trouble of coming from there to share his views and perceptions. Understand what is the ground reality that you understand. What are the challenges for India and what we can do to that. We are also grateful to Mr. Satish Chandra, who has been our High Commissioner in Pakistan, who has handled Pakistan, Bangladesh, and this thing for a long time, and as an early diplomat had worked there in the early years of his career, has been our National Security Advisor and has been National Security Council Secretary, who has got a very wide understanding and a depth about the direction in which we are. What are the straws in the wind into the power? Is it that we are getting back again into the syndrome that we will with the denial mode, refuse the acceptance of the threats and dangers which endanger our safety, security, long-term interest, and the interest of our children and coming generations? Is it that we again need some Lady Brahmin to tell Raja Bhoj that is, you have got to take on and see that the threat has got to be met from where it emanates, you have to take the countermeasures. Is it that we again will have this thing that local compulsions of the people became so much that even when after Raja Bhoj had reached up to Lahore, that local Tomar and others decided to side with this thing and invite him, and then the Raja Bhoj had to fight his own small kingdom, but then he was able to bring it over, but he had to come back. By that time the Cholas and this thing had also become quite short. So he had to come south to consolidate his position because the Jews were extending right to the border from Bhopal. His capital was very close to the Bhopal. Actually, I think he is one of the greatest kings of history which I rarely find any mention in the Indian history books. The amount of battles that he had, and there is no battle that he had lost. The entire border that we see, the western border from here up to the Punjab border, he had fought and listing on these, and wrote 82 guns in that, beside that. These are original with the writer of 82. Very, very highly scholarly volumes. How do we take India and extricate India out of this drama? Face the reality as it is and not as we wish it. Prepare ourselves and take proactive actions that our long-term national interests are protected. I am most grateful to this thing, and of course, my biggest gratitude and thanks are to Mr. T.C. Nath, who is running the Patriots Forum. This initiative has been taken on his initiative. Actually, we had held a couple of meetings before that where we had discussed, talked about the deteriorating situation. It reached a tipping point with the 30th March demonstration and the follow-up. Other things which are happening are not being reported in the media, which are a matter of great concern. He has been a great intellectual, I think. He's been a former assistant to the government of India, a very, very senior officer of the intelligence, the various wings of the intelligence, which were dealing with the very, very sensitive issue. Then he had also been. So, a person who brings with him a very large degree of experience, a total commitment to the nation and the patriotic system, that is, we will have the pleasure of listening to him. And it is important that our younger generation, the new people, the new intellectuals and thinkers, we have got Mr. Deep Banerjee, who is a Supreme Court lawyer, and our Anirban Ganguly, I think most of you must be knowing, who will be giving the young people's perspective about it, also the fact, and what do they think? How do they think the country should respond to the threats which are emerging? I think I won't take much of the time, and now I think I will just request Dr. Anirban Ganguly, who has just given a small visual presentation to let you know some of the basic facts and put the things in the right perspective. Thank you. Anirban is a senior research fellow of the Vivekananda International Foundation, who has been working on various projects related to civilization and historical studies in the field.